1, 2.
Okay, we're going to go ahead. I mean, we're 5 minutes in. Everybody should be in an arm's reach of a microphone. And when you're talking, we'd appreciate you talking into the mic so that we can record it. You're on, and we have a record. This is pretty important. So thank you for all being here. Appreciate it. Try to hold back your excitement, please.
Happy birthday, Robin.
Happy birthday.
Well, appreciate you being here. I hope you are excited. We're going back up again this year. But to start with, I think we just need to go around. We have a new councilman here, and Michelle, we have some different people in this group than we've had before. So, Vic, if we can start with you and say who you are, and then we'll go around. The microphone. Microphone. You have a microphone?
Michael J. Cox, District 4.
Here we go.
Jen Eastridge. Amy Jo Carroll, District 5.
David Colby with the South Lake Chamber of Commerce.
Zach Decker with Planning and Zoning.
Keith Breedlove.
Robin Hoover, Vice Chair, P&Z.
Pastor Nelson Bloom of Better Life Worship Center, resident of Groveland, Florida, future President of the United States.
Linda.
Mitchell Hill, owner of Michelle's Tropical Treats in Groveland here.
Barbara Gaines, Vice Mayor.
Mike Hine.
Linda Cowles.
Is it on? Try it again.
Linda Cowles.
Okay, well, then I'll just share this one, and we'll move on. So, let's start out with the... Let's start out with the timing. I think you all probably know, but just to be clear, December 2nd is the date that we're going to Tallahassee. We're same mirroring last time, 6 o'clock, bus leaves. If you're here at 6:05, who came in late? If you're here at 6:05, the bus is gone. You have to drive and try to catch up with us. 6:05, 6 o'clock, the bus leaves. We will have breakfast snacks on the bus. We'll have a box lunch like we did last time when we were up there for lunch. And then we're still determining, because I got a lot of feedback about not having dinner last time on the bus. So it might be 2 box lunches for all I know, but we'll figure that out. Okay? The teams will be set up. We've already set them up, but Stormwater, the representative of the city will be Mr. Jaycox for Stormwater. We have a Mr. Simmons from the Woodard and Curran going, and we'll cast some more people in that role as we get more people. Steve is not here tonight. Steve Sokowski is not here tonight, so we're leaving him for what's left over, whatever's left over. Amy Jo, education, okay? Education. Barbara Gaines, health. Affirmative?
Yes.
I need you on the record to say, yes, I'm going to
Yes.
Wilson Island, I'll take that and probably ask Steve, because Steve has some congressional ties that we might need down the road. State Road 19 is TJ, and we'll end up with a group like we did last time, Jen. We're going to grab the same people we had in there, so when we go around, the faces are familiar.
I got switched.
Huh?
The day of, I ended up in healthcare.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying on 19, you need to be there because you were there last time. You and Robin and the people that were there last time. Okay? State Road 19. Property taxes, we just started looking at that with these 8 bills that are coming in. And so we'll determine that. We'll see a little bit about it tonight and figure out how to move forward on that. So with that said, I put together a beautiful slide presentation. You know, it took me 20 minutes to do that. Where am I pointing this to move it along? IT? Oh, there we go. Did I go past a couple? Oh. Okay, Wilson Island, Mr. Hine, I quoted you. You sent me a very good letter today on that we don't want to confuse the issue, right? And that Wilson Island, we all know the story, right? Wilson Island, last place that we can have a park. Last place we can have a park. We've had meetings with the staff has set up meetings with our congressional or our delegation from the area, and we'll be meeting them back up there. That's Mr. Trunow and Mr. Zukowski, and they're exploring different ways to fund it. Representative Zukowski will probably be the leader in this group, correct? And so we'll be taking the lead from him. When we go out there, we're just going to passionately say, last place that our citizens can access the chain, the Claremont chain, without going through somebody's backyard. So it's very important that we preserve this. We don't need the 187 homes out there. And so Wilson Island, that'll be probably Steve. Education, 2025, 3,020 $29. Now, I just got, just when I came in the door, the new figures. And just to compliment all of you on education, we moved from 64th to 57th this year. So it's a little bit of a move, and we'll have more figures from the school board here in just a little while, but we'll change that. And but we're still going to 50 is $8 million more dollars, right? I mean, that's a big deal for public schools. So we still got to drive that forward. We're still 18th in population. I took this from last year's. Why? This is your talking points. You'll have it on your one sheet. Your one-sheeter: economic growth, workforce fairness and access, and technology integration, all very much within the Claremont and Groveland area with our new school in Claremont. We need to have some of that down here. And we may have another, I haven't talked to you about, I just had the thing today about LEAD. Is anybody on LEAD, the Lake County Economic, in our group? Because they are bringing some pretty heavy hitters in on some education things, on agriculture and some other things. So we might have some announcements by then. Teacher support, this is where our funding will be used: community engagement, long-term savings, innovation, and creativity. Okay, so that's all. Educational funding, Department of Education, we need to access grants. Governor's Emergency Education Relief, we need that. Innovative programs, 21st Century Community Learning Centers, and partnerships in universities. Again, I would hope that we all go through the one-sheeter on this, because remember, like last time, we just talked about it. We don't really know when we're going to get in to see different people because they're on a swivel and having committee meetings and things like that. And so you might be on Wilson Island, but we might grab you and say, we need you to go in here with education, and you need to know the talking points, okay? At least the real hard-hitting talking points.
Can I speak on that, Mayor? Because I was on the education committee, and the walk over to the FLDOE building is separate from where everybody else was. So there were a few of us that were in that room that couldn't be in the other room. So I know some people got shifted around from healthcare, that because we couldn't be in two places at one time. So fluid, I guess, would be the best way to state. We have a plan, we try to stick to it, but it doesn't necessarily always work out that way. We still all put our faces in the room, and I think that was the important thing, because the conversations are still going on around it, and that was last year. So I do have everything with me from last year as well, if we need to, for reference, just let me know.
That's a very good point. We're going up early this year because as committees, the stuff starts getting presented in January. Last year we were in March and everything was already lined up. So it's important that we really drive our case home. Now on SB 180, we have another MC here, Zach, who I took this right from your speech. This is yours, and because it was a different approach, and we got very, very good comments back from the delegation. Because, and I'll just tell me when to change. I'd like you to talk a little bit about SB 180, because that could be a big issue for this community. It will kind of wipe out our land use plan the way it is, and really turn us upside down, because the zoning is kind of squirrely with this whole thing. But Zach was able to present some alternatives to meet the same goals. So Zach, you want to just briefly go through that?
Yeah, is anybody in the room interested in being on the SB 180 team, where you are all tasked out, so solo venture? Well, you're on Wilson Island, right? Okay. Well, so as SB 180, the at the heart of it, it's trying to make development easier in Florida. We need that. However, the approach to making development easier, it was done it could be done better. And so we want to present recommendations for changes that are not targeted at taking away cities and municipalities' ability to plan. Rather, we want the state to help by kind of helping to clear the way for how development is done in Florida across the board. Being someone that lives in that world, development, permitting, and all of this, you know, I'm working north of Jacksonville right now. I'm working down in Harmony and everywhere in between, Polk County and all that. Everywhere's completely different. And I can tell you almost nobody knows what's going on the city or municipality side. And every platform is different. It's extremely confusing. Even if you want to go through the process smoothly and you ask all the questions, you just can't. And so, you know, it takes about 2 years to go from I bought the piece of land to I finally have a permit. And that has nothing to do with what they say is going on here with SB 180. Is that everything to do with all the other things. So I don't know if you want me to speak any further on that, but you know, we want development, and we also want to respect municipalities and their planning, and their ability to plan, and not have the state come and knock out all of our plans and tell developers they can do whatever they want. So there's a teaming up that needs to be done there.
Yeah, I think one of the best things that I've heard or read following this up is that one size doesn't fit all. And that's kind of the way people are going at it now. The state is trying to do something that's slightly flawed, you know, to put it mildly, but one size doesn't fit all. 8 stories in Groveland isn't the same as 8 stories in Fort Lauderdale, you know, and so we have to make sure that we maintain some control over that. So thank you very much for that, Zach. Look at all this I had for you, and you already went through that. That'll be in your package. Then we have.
Yeah, Mayor, can I add to that a little bit?
Absolutely, anytime.
And Zach, 100% agree with everything you said. The community is going to have a real concrete example of another mal-effect of the bill. I think CRA, as early as Monday, is going to look at basically an overlay district with prohibitive uses. Yes, we have another application for another 7-Eleven. We had developed an overlay district that prohibited things like strip clubs, mattress stores, pawn shops, tattoo parlors, things that aren't necessarily congruent with what we believe is the community's interest for family-friendly, walkable downtowns. That process stopped because the attorneys opined that that would be a violation of the Senate bill. We're going to bring it forward anyhow for full transparency, so that when somebody says, why did you approve another 7-Eleven? Why didn't you prevent that? We tried. And I think it's a good, easy, concrete example for some legislators to understand that, yeah, that makes sense. Maybe a community doesn't want a pawn shop, you know, in their downtown.
Yeah. Thank you. And Mr. Manager, you can jump in any time. You don't have to ask, just jump in any time. The next area is the Whitehurst Law. Do we remember that? So those of you that are new, Whitehurst was a young 4-year-old young girl that was killed out on 19 when they were turning into their driveway. A truck hit them, and you see that little cross down there. That's for her. But what we're coming at from this standpoint is that the person only got cited that caused that accident only got cited for a moving violation. And what we've been told is that, and here's the law, exact verbiage states that any person operating a vehicle under the street, highways within state shall drive the same careful and prudent manner, having a regard for width, grade, curves, all that, But then it follows up, any person who violates this section gets a moving violation. Our goal is to get, if there's a fatality or a serious accident, to get that upgraded. Because as is stated here, there's not a lot of deterrent for having people cited for a fatality is different than, just a moving violation. And so we'll have a representative from the police department, I think, going with us to who was at that accident scene and describes it and is really powerful to talk through with our legislators. Here's the statement, and the current law fails to provide adequate deterrent for individuals who are careless in driving. So those in dark on your thing are what we need. Those are the key points that we really need to be driving home. We won't remember all the details, but so we're all speaking the same, what do they call them, sound bites, that we have that together. State Road 19, I'll turn it over to TJ. TJ isn't here. State Road 19, and I didn't have the latest one to put in here, so we'll have to put the addition in. Who was in the room last year? You were for the State Road 19, Jen. Who else? Zach, were you in the room? You were in the room. Well, last year we got approved to have the pre-study done. And the way I recall it is we were going to take funds from the contingency fund to get that done through June. And then after June, the new budget would kick in, and then we could move forward with that next phase to get the fund done. Well, something happened, and it didn't happen in June. So we're very grateful, very, very grateful for getting the done. But now we have to lobby to make sure that we get the study done. I go to the MPO, and right now it's not scheduled till 2032. And so we have a little bit of a miscommunication there. So as we go up there, again, the Whitehurst issue and all this other stuff that's going on 19, we need to get addressed, because if we got approved tomorrow, it would be what, you think 10 years where we'd have a road, right? So, I mean, just think of what 19 is going to be like in 10 years, right? We've got to get it done now. And and we all remember about all the trucks, and we have a few fewer trucks now with some of the recent happenings, but okay. And then, Mike, can you talk a little bit about this, is it on his thing this year as well, for the State Road 19 and State Road 33 being addressed in a mobility, some kind of state mobility strategic plan that I was hoping that it would get in there?
It is in there. It is the penultimate or second last bullet point that talks about doing mobility study to change the classification to add it to the strategic intermodal system. So you'll hear the FDOT people and TJ talk about the SIS system, and there's extra layers of funding and extra emphasis when it's part of the strategic intermodal system. We use that with State Road 50 to accelerate the project because it's part of the hurricane evacuation route. So that's a technical thing that you'll hear TJ talk about.
Yeah, and I remember his dialogue that at the last one, that it's a truck route. It is the cut through from what was it, 27 to I-4, right? And that's what's used in Turnpike, I-4, and all that. It's a cut through, and it is a truck route, but it's not built to be a truck route. And this mobility, I think, it gets into some federal funding as well. And as we know now more than ever, 33 is not a safe place to go. Now there are bigger, I wish we would have had the wider curbs that are being installed right now, the things so that people could have maintained control of the car, and that's going to be an improvement. But For that semis to go, it's no different than 19. For all those semis to come down that road, and people get impatient and try to pull out around because the semi's going, it got a governor on it, it's going 55 miles an hour, and everybody wants to go 65. That's where those accidents really, really happen. Yeah. So, any questions on that? Okay. Rural versus, jump in any time here. Rural versus suburban. This is something new, so I'm going to spend just a little bit more time on it. Everything else was a reflection of last year, and we're just pounding it at home again. But designation of municipality from rural versus suburban significantly affects the access to funding regulations for infrastructure program, development and development incentives. The designations are used by federal, state, and regional agencies. It's just not federal to accommodate different funding and grants. So it's very important that we take a strong look at this. Rural targeted funding for rural health clinics, telehealth, and educational technology. Comes right out of their book. So there's extra funding, and it comes through the federal area, most of it. May receive school construction and teacher recruitment grants, often rural emergency management and disaster recovery funding. So rural, let's just think about when you're rural, you don't have a lot of density. So what the rural really implies is it helps us out with, if you don't have enough density to support the safety, the education, all this within your boundaries, then you're rural, you need to have some help from the federal government, right? For healthcare, for education, for all that. So yeah, are we currently designated as suburban? Yes. The suburban, I think I've got it probably on the next slide or two. Suburban is classified as a town with 35,000 or more. And there's several other things we'll get into right now. But we have several issues because of the county that is a black mark on, because we have more than, we have 775,000 people in Lake County, and we can't have more than like 75,000 or something. It'll come up in a second. So, but the federal government does have the ability to take pockets and designate them as rural. And that's what we're going to be talking, the pockets. Because, let's face it, we're 51% green space and agriculture. We're not going to be building houses on a lake or in wetlands. And for us to maintain this eco-agri lifestyle kind of thing that's in our strategic plan, we're going to need help because we won't have the big tax base. Does that make sense? Groveland's population, I didn't know, I thought it was 25,000, but right now it's 23. USDA eligibility also depends on whether the area is considered to be a metropolitan statistical area, which we are right now. They're considering us part of Orlando. And I wish I had the map to show you. It's very strange the way the map is drawn because there's a big tail that comes all the way out down to here in Mascot that is designated as suburban, where if they really cut it off like around Ocoee and somewhere like that, it would be much better. I can't imagine that these were put together in the 1990s, and Apopka, you know, was not suburban in the 1990s, you know. I mean, it was furthest thing from it. So.
The same measurement that they used was funding for schools?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a different... Yeah, there's a different formula for the rural than there are, and healthcare, and for clinics and things like that. It's a different, and that's what we need to access, right? Is that extra funding, and it. Okay, we just talked about that. Lake County is 445,000. The state statute establishes that a county has to have more than less than 75,000. Well. I look at this and say, we're going to go back, and how many acres are in our county? I know we have 35,000 acres, And when you start dividing that by the number of people we have, we're a lot more sparsely populated than if you go down the road, right? Because of our waterways. So that's a big point, again, driving that home, that we could be, as a result, state level rural county designation is in jeopardy. Under federal regulations, the USDA still designate rural pockets. This is such an important piece when somebody says, no, you can't do that. Well, there are pockets. And I was trying to go back through Channel 2 News, because last week somebody out here got redesignated as a rural, and they got a big grant. And it was on the news, and I didn't write it down. I've got to find out who that was, but it was local. It wasn't far from here. So yeah, the researchers can help me out with that. So how can the legislation help? This was a big thing from last time that I got post-mortem, is we did great presentations, but we didn't leave behind exactly what we wanted them to do. We didn't give them the to-do list, right? We said we need this, we need that, but we didn't say we need this, by when, we need that. And this is exactly what I want you to work on, and be very concise on it. So we're going to work on that message to be very concise, and that handout to be very concise. But what the Florida legislature could do is help us with support data from the Economic Opportunity Board and those areas, pass joint resolutions or memorial. The legislation can adopt a joint resolution or memorial formally requesting the USDA to consider the designation of this specific municipality. This is a big point that they can do, because the first thing everybody's going to say, this is federal. This is federal. We need help lobbying with federal. We've already had a short conversation with our congressman, but we need the state to back us on this as we go up there. Coordinate with Florida's congressional delegation, because USD designates a federal congressional advocacy is essential. So our senators, our congressmen can work with Mr. Webster and our senators, or Mr. Scott, and all that to really drive the point home to help us out with the USDA. Amend the state planning and growth management statutes. That's what our guys can do. The legislature can modify statutes in Chapter 163 of the Florida statutes to allow municipality to adopt in our comprehensive plan, right? Our comprehensive plan, amendments reflecting the rural characteristics. Son of a gun, we're working on our comp plan right now. How about that? Create a state-recognized rural transition area. Other states have done that, rural transition. We don't have it. We can work on that. Farmer banks, we can work on that. Provide technical and financial assistance through agencies like the Florida Department of Agriculture, Consumer Services, or Enterprise Florida. The legislature can fund feasibility studies or grant writing assistance for the USDA reclassification request. Big issue there, because everybody's going to say, where's the money? Where's the money? Where's the money? The USDA ultimately controls the rural designations. The state legislature can play a powerful role in coordinating data collection, passing supportive resolutions, aligning state planning laws, and mobilizing congressional advocacy. That's what we're asking for. Make sense? Any questions on that? Yes, sir.
Back in 2018, I recall looking here in Groveland and all these areas to see what I could move to. And at that time, I remember stating that Groveland was a rural area, and it qualified for certain loans. You know, you get the USDA loan, you get the veterans loan and all that. So it just popped into my head. I guess at that time, it was called rural, and now it's not rural.
Well, it depends on what they were using for their reference, because this designation through the USDA has been in since like 1994, when we went back and looked at it. And Miss Robin Maynard has put together a lot of that information here, that's going to be in your handout, as well as we're going to get a little bit better map that shows that tail a little bit better.
I actually know a law enforcement officer who lives in Groveland and was given a USDA loan based on the fact that it's considered, and it was considered rural. To be able to move in. So he was able to get a loan. Of course, that loan is indicative of your income and all that other stuff, but it was still classified as rural, because I remember talking about it.
So that's the 100% financing.
Oh, we need a mic. Can you repeat all that, please, because you weren't on a mic? For the record.
Is that
I
it?
recall back in
And it was Webster.
2018, 2019, a law enforcement officer that was talking to me about different loans because he was looking for a house. And at that time, I was
Great. Read that
also
out
looking
for
to
me.
relocate. And he was told, because I remember reading it with him, that he qualified based on his income for a USDA loan because Groveland was a rural designation. So that's why it just rang a bell to me. Rural now, it's not rural because maybe it's population, I don't know, but it's just something that, and I know it's like what you said, that individual also was able to get financing. I guess what do you call it, no down payment or something like that? What? 100% financing, see? But I just remember that from that, so that's all I wanted to say.
So USDA loans, those are 100% financing. All you basically do is you pay for the closing costs. But the way that they determine it, like for example, I come from Oviedo, right? Parts of Oviedo were qualified as rural, so it wasn't the whole map. It was how many people densely populated in where you're trying to build, and then it's also determined on how many acres, you know what I mean? So it was right on the Oviedo and Geneva border. Those people were qualifying for the 100% USDA, but we were across the street and we didn't qualify for that, even though like I could throw a stone at it. So it's really the USDA lines, they don't really go as far as, okay, well, Groveland is rural. They get down to the nitty gritty, and then it also determines on how big of a lot you're trying to get. But I did find what you were looking for. It's called I'm sorry, give me a second. Florida Small Cities Community Development Block Grant. It's the CDBG. There was $38 million of grants that went out to 19 different communities. The closest one was Webster for $2.89 million, where it was for a master lift station and emergency generator. But some of the other things was Lake Butler got for wastewater pipes, Live Oak got for potable water improvements. So a lot of it was for infrastructure, it looks like.
Very good. And we want it for education and healthcare, okay? You can jump in anytime, but 70% of our elementary school kids are Title I. 74.
I mean, if they're going to include us in Orlando's statistical, can we get Orlando funding? Because I'll take that too, for schools, that is.
And also,
Orange County.
according to Google, Lake County's total area is 1,157 square miles, with 938 square miles being land and 219 of those being water. In terms of farm-related acreage, the most recent agricultural data indicates that there are 183,864 acres in farms, including cropland, pasture land, and woodland. So that right there proves
is
your
great.
point from what you said, and that's just Google, so.
Yeah. That's great. That's great info. I'm glad we got that on tape.
Size.
Anybody else have some pearls?
One thing we can check is to see how many HUD homes are available for sale or to purchase in Groveland. Because HUD goes along with the, the same thing as the USDA is, they give out loans 100%. So if there are HUD homes here, then we're in a rural area, and you should be able to convince them with that. One thing with the law, does Florida have a law that you want to use for these drivers who cause death because they're negligent? Does Florida have a manslaughter law?
Yeah. We don't have a law that ties the careless driving to, go ahead, we have a law person right here.
There's a law for DUI manslaughter, but there's not one that doesn't tie it to if you're just being dumb
Yeah.
or not paying attention or distracted driving, if you will.
And they said it was phone and drunk, or DUI, it was, but if you're just not paying attention, like this gentleman said, you kill somebody and, you know, yeah.
It's not just HUD homes, it's also VA.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different ones.
Yeah.
So Florida doesn't have a involuntary manslaughter law?
Yes.
That's what you're talking, that's what you want. You want an involuntary manslaughter. So in other words, he didn't intentionally drive on the road to kill somebody because of his actions, he did.
Yeah.
So that's the law. You need to tell him what law you want. And this is basically what you're looking for, so.
Okay. Well, we'll look
And
into that.
then you have to tell them
I
how
just
much-
want, I don't know, I think we just want something that's a step above paying a traffic fine.
Well, that's
when
why you want to
kill
get it
somebody.
away from a traffic law. You want to bring it into, involuntary manslaughter. They have it up north a lot, there was a big accident where a limousine got taken out and 14 people died because somebody was negligent in their driving, and they were brought up in the, that manslaughter charge, so.
Okay.
What was the other thing I had? They probably used Route 50, the traffic on Route 50, because the way that map looks, it follows Route 50 right up to Mascot. So they probably used the volume of traffic coming on Route 50 to decide that we were urban instead of rural.
Yeah, it had to be something, because I know in the 90s, this was not suburban out here. Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Michelle, you're quiet, and you're making me uncomfortable. Why are you so quiet?
It's not the use, that's the use of much ice cream today. However, I am absorbing what's happening, and as a new one here, it's important for me to first of all absorb before you speak. All right, so I'm doing that this evening. I am absorbing and then happily make my comments thereafter. So be patient to me.
Okay, thank you. So, Amy Jo, Dr. Cowles is our committee person, and I think we have Mr. Randolph is going to be on education also. So maybe you can just introduce yourself to them.
I'm collecting and connecting with them.
Also, I would love to see if we could reach out to our new school board representative, possibly, because we've had a big change of guard here in our district this year. Change of the guard, if you will, on the on the school board. So I'd love to reach out to our new school board representative and maybe have him put his 2 cents in, or to what, like we did previously with Mr. Matthias, because now we have someone else sitting in that position to represent us.
Well, I think
And-
Matthias is still there, isn't he? Yeah, he
But
comes up next
it's
time.
getting right, I mean,
Yeah.
he's not planning to run for reelection.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Pat Kelly is running against Bill Matthias.
And yeah. So Matthias is on the ballot?
Say it again.
That's what I thought. But I'm just saying, we're obviously getting ready to have a change there on the public school side, and a lot of this is public, but like we all said, we're a choice state, so everybody should have a seat at the table, including our new school board possibly representative. Maybe not for the December, but for April.
And Robin, I'll be calling on you because Matthias is sending the new charts, and you've gone through the charts
Thanks.
to translate the charts that we're going to get them. We'll have them by the end of this week, he said, the new charts, so we'll need them translated, okay?
What am I looking at? I remember. I don't know. I'm not asking you. I got to look at it first.
Barbara, do you have anything? No, not at this time. On health? Nothing on health?
Well, kind of, sort of. Can I talk a little bit about the meeting?
Yeah, I mean, the progress, because we might want to build on that.
Okay, yesterday, Ashley and I attended a meeting with Orlando Health, and the Community Health Center. And Lance, who is I believe, the director of Orlando Health, made the mistake of telling the chef and I a few weeks ago at the race that Orlando Health has a mobile midwifery bus. So we just did a fact-finding information yesterday, a meeting yesterday. I walked away thinking that the Community Health Center at the beginning saw it kind of like competition, not so much how they could complement each other. But the person that owns 2 of the midwifery buses came to the meeting, and then the tone seemed to switch after that. But there is a doctor, I don't know, Dr. Boardman, Dave, is that a name, Dr. Boardman? Okay, I understand that she has received $22 million in grant funding. So we left there with the call to action for them to set up a meeting so that we can get an enhanced understanding of what's going on. And it's really all about partnerships. It's not yours, mine, whatever. What we have to do is best for the constituents. And yesterday, after the meeting, Lance did send us the information, and I think there's 100+ women from Mascot that had babies. And actually, do you recall what the figure was for Groveland? So over 300. But so we're still in the fact gathering status with that, but hopefully we might be able to work something out.
And that's a great story, and it emphasizes why we need the grants, right? I mean, this is exactly why we need the grants. We won't have a hospital for how many years are out here, but we can at least access other ways to help our citizens with the needs that they have, you know. Nice job. Thank you, both of you. Any other comments?
You said we need the grants. Is there someone that's in charge of trying to access those grants within the county, within the city?
Yes, we have an amazing staff. Mr. Hine would probably want to go on record right now and answer that question.
Yes, as the mayor said, we have an amazing staff. No, I've been in many organizations that talked about having a single grant writer, and frankly, grant writing is reading directions. It usually starts with connecting with agency personnel and finding the person who administers the grant, and then developing a relationship and a rapport with them to ask them to assist you with writing the grant to them, which usually scores well. In this case, it depends on what the special project could be. It could be me, it could be Ashley, but we don't have a separate grant writer.
Thank you. And these grants are for the state and federal, and then private grants too? All 3?
Yeah, do well.
You know, and since grants came up, it's interesting. In the last 6 years, there was 0 grants 7, 8 years ago, and now we get over 60 million in grants.
And remember, I mean, they're very modest, but we get 13 million in taxes. We spend 32, 33 million. That's made up with fees and grants. I mean, the tax base is only 13 million. So it's a lot of work to go in and get us to where we need to be every single year.
I'm going to switch subjects back to 19. I have written down last time from some of TJ's words about State Road 19 as an arterial upgraded to a major arterial. Is that something that's still on today's agenda too, to upgrade that? And then also, he mentioned with the historic area, with the 100-year-old grid plat. So that again, there's that corridor at 19 with Avalon and the possibility of the historic train depot. Could we utilize that, since we know eventually that will be ours, right? So could we utilize that as part of that conversation as a reason behind it? Does that, do I need to elaborate more? Does anybody?
More of your,
Does that?
Yeah, Robin, I think I understand what you're saying, but I would encourage you to be very simple in expressing desires. And I think the overriding concern is, instead of waiting until 2032 or whatever to start the planning on State Road 19, to accelerate that. And to the Secretary's credit, and there was some communication, I think, and I'm getting in the middle while I wasn't in the room, the Secretary's assured us he's already started some of that pre-planning, which goes along with the prior designation change to a major arterial. And the historic stuff, it gets complicated in my opinion, because 19 will truncate north of the train station with the new bypass.
Just for clarity, you mentioned that amazing group of persons who's handling grant, or are you looking for someone specific to work on grants total?
we don't have specific, I mean, we do in some areas like Woodard and Curran, who's getting the grants for our wastewater, our water and all that. They do a superb job in their task with that. But as grants come in, the city manager figures out who best to start that process within our staff. And we do hire from outside, right, Mike? People that are experts, because it's not something you can just sit down the first time and do it right. You need somebody that understands all those trigger words, all that stuff to get where you need to be. And like I say, we have a lot of grants that we get every year in order to move us forward. There's a whole sheet. I don't know if I can share it with you, but the sheet tells us where we are and all the grants that have been committed, and it's a full piece of paper that has all the different things and when they're coming in and how they're going out and the timing. But it's just amazing that how much we are able to, what do you say, swing for the fences, because you know, our tax revenue is here, but we're getting so much money from other places that we can do some of the things that we continue
So
to want.
if I'm familiar with someone who has experience in that area, who has worked with federal, etc., and has been working with grants over maybe 20 years, who may be interested, someone that you can recommend to this council?
Is it pro bono?
No. Maybe commission.
Come on, Michelle.
maybe commission base.
Well, we always take suggestions. We're always looking for the right people. So
Thank you, Mr.
Forward it on to Mr. Hine. Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to.
Can I just say something?
Yes, sir.
The bus leaves at 6 o'clock, and if you're not there at 6,
How about I bring gumbo? You're like. Actually, I was on 19, so on about 19. So I wanted to kind of about that, what you were talking about in regards to 19. Do we have statistics, or do we have stats on the amount of accidents that has happened on 19 in the last maybe 5 years? Maybe that would be a driving force there when going before them in regards to the many plethora of accidents that has happened there. Do we even have the statistics on that?
yeah, we can get those. I think at least in the MPO that I'm on, we discuss that this much, but we discuss 13,000 vehicles going down the road and 35% of them being semis, and it being a 2-lane road with, we just got wider shoulders, thank God. But we really look at that pressure because roads are designed for certain things, you know, and
Yes.
and we are the bypass that everybody uses to come through. And I guarantee you, once the bypass goes through and they don't have to make that silly turn that they're having to do now each way,
Yes.
we're going to have even more traffic out here. You watch.
And I know that that was a topic when I was on P&Z as well, when we were talking about, Highway 19 and the overpass. What are the, how are we looking as far as the overpass timeframe?
I don't think we have an overpass going in right now. But when we do 19, that's a chance to come back.
Yeah, I think, are you talking about the bypass?
The bypass, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yes,
no,
sir.
that's fine. Actually, all of you will want to come to the next council meeting because you love coming to council meetings. But a representative from FDOT at 6 o'clock is going to give a update to the new mayor and council announcing that the design will be stamped and completed in April and let for bid in June, meaning that there'll be an award of contract in that time, and then construction will start shortly thereafter.
Okay, awesome.
And the accident data, yes, we have all the accident data, and that typically drives intersection and safety improvements, which include, if you look at TJ's war reports, the long list of signalizations that we're in process of getting. I know some people think it's not happening fast enough, but I'm surprised that everything from Bible Camp to Cherry Lake Road, and I'm told the lights are flashing tonight.
Yes,
on
they are.
Wilson Lake?
Wilson and
Parkway.
27, so good.
Yeah. I was shocked to know, and just for your information, so you know where they're listening and coming from, that the light out on Wilson Lake Parkway and 27 was $500,000. $500,000. It's, you just think, wow. I mean, so when we're asking and we're getting this, that's a lot of money. And they have to, they're no different than the city. We have to put the money where it does the best. And so we have to literally beg, Okay, any other comments?
Do you mind if I go one more time? So Mr. Hine just said, we're roughly looking at starting about the time school goes back on breaking ground in the bypass, give or take. So are we using that as well? Because once construction starts, it's bad now, it's gonna be terrible everywhere. Like the turnpike looks tonight, stopped, dead. This is a standstill. Every single road, 19, 50, 33 South, 33 North, they're all gonna be standstills every single day, all day long. So our chances of an accident for certain things, for speed, might go down, but the recklessness and the carelessness might go up in that situation, in that time, in that year. So I'm just bringing up that time level. It's going to be terrible before it gets better. And it will get better, but we're going to have to suffer a little bit first.
Remember too, though, Robin, just to build on that a little bit, it's going on new land. It's not a reconstruction of something that's already in existence. So we'll still have what we have now, and they'll be building those around in the virgin land, so to speak. So the disruption until they start connecting should be very minimal. But we'll know that at 6 o'clock next Monday.
Yes, Mayor, but no. You won't know the actual method of construction and how they'll handle transportation until the contractor's contracted. But the pain will come. And whether you start it today or you start it in July, it's a 2-year, 18-month construction process, so it's going to disrupt school cycles and everything else. The biggest pain will be when they have to connect to 19. And we're already in discussions about how to do that because we have to do a bunch of utility relocations as well. But yes, it'll be a construction zone for 2 years.
Is anything being done to look at from Groveland South on 33? Because it's still part of that corridor.
Well, that was what we were talking about earlier with this strategic intermodal thing. That's a bigger fund, and as I've been told by a very wise man, don't mix it up. Don't ask for that until you get this, because that will keep 19 back. Once we get 19, then we can work on step 2. But I do know that our senator, True Now, is very hot on doing something with 33, because he does have a trucking background. He's a farmer, but he runs a lot of trucks too. And we've had some really amazing conversations, and he's come up with some ideas that I can't even believe that he'd come up with, but we'll see where that goes. Okay, Mr. Randolph, you didn't say anything all night.
I am listening and observing the same way. So I did have some information on the rural versus suburban, but you brought up the same information that I had. I did see that Oakland recently was just designated as a pocket in Orange County. So that's something that I would like to look into a little bit more to see how they received that rural designation in Orange County.
Okay, very good. Very good, very good. Okay, so we're leaving at 6. We're going to get you your talking points, your sheets, your booklet. Everybody will be assigned. Those of you that don't know what you're on, you will know. You'll get an assignment. But the assignment is only relative to when the people will listen to you. You need to know everything in the booklet, okay? Does that make sense? Can I get that commitment from you? What's that?
Will we get the booklet the day of?
I hope not. I hope we get it to you a little bit earlier. Want to put that on the record?
When will we get the booklet?
Yeah.
You
We've
said
got a
we'd get it
couple of it.
perhaps before. Okay, thank you.
Okay, everybody has their talking points as of today. Is that?
Except for the suburban rural. The other stuff you put up there is not.
I know. I failed. I had a rookie. But you've got everything except probably the education and the rural versus suburban. It needs to be in there. Yeah, but mine's better. Okay. Well, I appreciate your time. Next time we meet, there'll be a lot more people. You know, this is the key group that you all have got experience. So any questions you have, any things that we might not have quite right in there, please let us know so that we can make any corrections. We're human. There might be some things that don't make a lot of sense, and let us know now, not when we get there. But appreciate you all being here. Thank you very much.
My final question, sir. Just give me an idea of the schedule. When we leave here at 6, get there about 9, then what happens thereafter?
Excuse me? We're leaving at what time?
Pardon me?
Did you just say 9?
We leave at 6.
6. We'll arrive probably 9:30 like we did last time. And then our first meetings were planned starting at 10 last time to be set up. But that schedule, as we know, is very fluid because we might have a meeting with Mr. Truenow, with Senator Truenow, and he's called into a committee that he is running. And he might not go at 10, he might go at 2 when that committee's over. So that's why I'm saying we all have to know what's going on, because you might be tied up on something else and somebody else has to go in there with a delegation. And we try to have at least 5. And some of them, when we had True Now, they'll put us in a conference room or we'll all be together. They'll come to lunch and talk to us all together. But when we break it down, like with the transportation, I think we had like 6 or 7. But we need to all know what's going on and what those key points are.
And what time did we get back?
We got back at 8:30 last time, and we didn't stop for dinner. I don't plan on stopping for dinner again because people have babysitters and things. I plan on, we'll figure out how we can have something to eat on the bus on the way back. What's that?
I said I still like to eat, though.
Yeah, I know. We'll have something to eat on the bus coming back. We just have to figure out what that can be and how we do it. Linda, did you have anything? You're very quiet. It worries me. Who didn't I? Did you have anything?
What is it? Pardon?
Carrie? No, I was talking to Carrie. She's very quiet. She worries me when she's quiet too. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all. You have a nice evening. Thanks for coming out.
those of you who are new to know, the ice cream store is open until 8 o'clock tonight. You still get ice cream? Okay.